Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. Got a big warning that came out just a couple hours ago from a big boy. Let me see the notes here. The IEA chief. Wait a minute. Yeah, IEA. IEA chief, we're going to talk about that. Really big warning about fuel prices that are coming in this summer and how bad it's going to be. We're also going to talk about at the end of the video what you can do to prepare for this, because I think that is very important. Just very logical, easy steps. Because and this is crazy because I believe these warnings to be very true, and if you don't heed these warnings, you're going to be caught up in the madness, because I think people are going to absolutely lose their minds when this happens. And we've talked about this before, about the psychology of energy prices. When it comes to a gallon of milk or a gallon of gas, if you mess with those two prices, it really messes people up. I mean, companies throughout the world have always done really interesting things with marketing and packaging to hide inflation over time. But when something happens, when inflation jolts an economy this fast, like what we're seeing right now, and it's about to get a lot worse this summer, then that is a really big issue. So without further ado, let me jump into my notes real quick here. So got my notes, and I'm running out of real cardboard scraps, so we have to use this box carefully. So here we go. This the IEA chief warns of summer fuel shortages and a triple energy crisis that will outstrip the oil shocks of the late 1970s. Now, that is a very big and bold statement. Now, first, you're probably going, Ninja, who's the IEA chief? Well, let me explain that. This is a Turkish economist, energy expert who works for the International Energy Agency. Now, the Turkish people know one thing, and that's for sure, what inflation is like. Turkey has been going through a crisis for now a few years, and it's been absolutely horrible. And this IEA chief has been working in this sector for quite some time, and this is a very serious warning. You know, we have multiple things happening at once, which he's going to talk about here shortly, but a couple things that he states is the U.S. and Europe face fuel shortages as summer vacations get underway. And that is true. The world, again, wants to open up. They want to get out to normal. They want to rip those things off their face. Thank heavens for right now. They're not on airplanes. And they want to get back to normal. But the problem is they're facing higher price inflation and everything's from durable goods or non-durable goods, necessities, food, fuel, all that crap. And it's getting harder and harder, right? Like you just saw when I came to visit you guys down in San Antonio, my ticket normally would be about $350, cost $1,200. And that just blows my mind, And there's less airplanes in the air right now. That's been proven because people don't have the money to go and travel. So airline travel is down 26%, I believe it was, month over month this last month. And that's just a fact. So you're seeing more empty airplanes sitting off on the other side of the runway, and they're just still jamming you in there like tuna in a tuna can and charging you more because of increased fuel costs and food costs, all kinds of costs, right? Now, Faith Briel is the name of the IEA chief. Let me get my notes up a little closer. And he warned of not only potential diesel shortages, but also petrol kerosene shortages as well. And current crisis, he states, is worse than the 70s. Now, this is a quote from him. We have an oil, gas, and electricity crisis simultaneously. And that's absolutely true. What is blowing my mind is, in 2007, 2008, when the price of gasoline rose exponentially back then, right? Nothing like it's starting to do right now. But we saw diesel and gas rise. We didn't have other costs rising. We didn't have electricity exploding. We didn't have other forms of energy in other countries exploding. But what we did see back then was semi-truck pull off the side of the road in the summer of 2008. And they say, look, we can't even deliver at this cost, because we're losing money. And I believe that's what you're going to see this summer. Like I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, I believe we're going to see well over $10 a gallon for diesel and unleaded this summer during this crisis. And this is a crisis. So let's talk about some things you could do. That's really important. So right now, it just blows me away. Thieves, I have zero respect for them. I think they're scum, quite frankly, and they need to be dealt with, like, seriously. But, hey, in this crazy state, you can steal up to $900 and not even get prosecuted in most places. Absolutely disgusting to me. But right now, we are seeing fuel shortages happening, and the prices going up, throughout the Midwest and stuff like that, but also in California, the prices are going up. We're not exactly having a fuel shortage. But we're seeing fuel thefts on a massive rise. And what I just noticed here today is a high-end Mercedes-Benz was caught down in the LA area. And they had a setup to where they could literally pull up to your car, your vehicle, their license plate folded down, and behind it they had a pump and a hose that was meant for easy, and it was like a retractable hose. This thing was set up with a bladder bag inside. And they could be really efficient with their theft. What blows me away is if you think about it, let's say a car has fuel, it carries, let's say 20 gallons of fuel, and fuel's doubled, right? So now you're seeing, let's just round it to whatever, ninja math, how good that works. We're not talking about a lot of dollar value being stolen, right? You'd think, what are these thieves doing when they could just go steal something more profitable for less work, and not get caught? But that's what happens to people. And thieves, I would put up there with pretty low IQ, to be honest with you, because they're people that don't work for a living. They just want to steal, right? But that's what happens in your mind when all of a sudden prices start skyrocketing, and that's what you see all over the news. And we talked about the psychological effect before, how this is going to affect investors, not only in real estate, in stocks, in many different sectors. What's going to happen is people are going to start to, whoa, what's going on? Or maybe their fear is going to set in. Well, with thieves, it's nothing different. They're stealing. It just blows my mind for the amount of risk that they're putting out there. So what can you do? Park in a well-lit area. Look at where you're parking. Where are you leaving your car? How is your vehicle set up? Is it set up to a thief is going, hey, this is an awesome opportunity? We have to have our head on a swivel. Another thing, people right now, it sounds funny, but I talked about this a while back. This may be the time to go get, I said this back in last year, a gas-saving vehicle. Even with the vehicle crunch that was going on, there were a lot of people that were still driving around big trucks and vans and all that kind of stuff because they want their way of life, but they're not thinking these are longer cycles. And this high fuel price is going to last a couple of years. The next, in my opinion, we're going to see over $200 a barrel of oil. So if you can only imagine in this next cycle, which should last a couple of years, where is that going to bring fuel, right? So, and I want to remind you, countries like Saudi Arabia, they like high oil prices. Why? Because they only have so much oil left in the ground. So would they rather pump out double amount at $100 or half the amount at $200? Think about that. Remember, when we're talking about Russia, everybody's saying Russia's out there trying to, they're the boogeyman, but they're trying to survive as well. And they have no problem discounting their oil to $80 or $70 a barrel because that's what they were selling it for just last year. They're going to win. That's the problem. The West is trying to keep them pinned down with sanctions. They're like, oh, okay, fine. Here, hold your sanctions. Watch this. So possibly looking into gas-saving cars. I know that the used car market is starting to fall off a cliff right now. And in a lot of instances, I've done counseling when I was doing financial counseling and things like that a long time ago, my old life. I would always have people add up their gas expenditures in a month with their big trucks, and it blew me away. I'd say you could literally, and I'm not suggesting it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial professional. I'm just a dude with a brohawk, a dream, and awesome coffee notes. But sometimes a payment on a brand new car would be the same amount as the gas savings that they would get from driving their big truck an exorbitant amount of miles to their work. So that might be something, I used to do that, talk to people that had their own business, say you might want to consider a second car. And not only that, you'd have the flexibility of having a second car. The point being is this, it's time to be just very logical. This is going to get worse. It's not going to get better. I'm not here to give you doom and gloom. I'm just giving you the truth. Okay. And these are warnings, but it's a lot of people like to say, oh, well, these are just warnings that they're trying to get us to panic. No, wake up to what's going on. There's geopolitical threats right now that are causing oil and gas, not only futures to rise, but the shipments of them to be stalled. All right. On top of that, even before this came out, we knew that gasoline and oil were going to rise because of supply chain deficits. All right. And I want to leave you with this last thing. If this rise continues, just remember there are a lot of trucking companies that are going to not move a tire because they simply cannot make profit. When that happens, it will make the supply chain problems worse than they are now. All right? So last thing I'm going to leave you with, some trips, I'm already set up to go around the country to see you guys. We are prepaying for our airline tickets right now to lock in savings. So that's another thing that I'm doing. Just like when you go to buy a little extra food, you're like, I'm pretty sure that canned good's going to be a little bit more next month, maybe by a few cents, but it's a few cents saved. Remember, $1 saved is $1 earned. The guys at my old work used to make fun of my old Honda Civic because it crapped out quarters. Well, who's laughing now? Not my bank account. Oh, wait, no, it is. Hey, with that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.